today we're going to be looking at these little cat face brooches and also having a look at how to make a really big cat face cushion. So stick around if you want to find out how to do these. Hello and welcome back to a kooky corner of YouTube, or welcome if it's your first time here. It's lovely to see you. So the cat face brooches. I was trying to explain to somebody that I'd done a video on the making of these and they couldn't actually find it. And when I went to look for it, I couldn't find it either. But then I realized it was part of the spooky house project that I did last autumn time, where I was making a little spooky house and I showed how to make the cat face. It was a little spooky cat face at the time. He was hidden in that video. So I thought I'd dig him out and bring him back and we can have a look together, because it was kind of confusing to a couple of people who couldn't find the video of the making of these. But yes, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to show that part of that video of the making of the cat face as well, and then we're going to have a little look at how to make these even bigger and make them into something else. So these were one of the best sellers in my little Etsy shop that I had. They went out like hotcakes. I couldn't keep up with them. I used to be making loads and loads and loads of these, and people used to buy them in bulk for little gifts for people. They used to be stocking fillers. Somebody bought them for their whole staff, so every staff member had one of these as well. So they are really, really cool, a nice little gift to give, and I just think they're just so versatile. You can match the colours to whichever variation you want. I mean, you could have like I hesitate to say neutral. It kind of is a neutral. This one's more neutral probably as well. But you can go wild and wacky. You can have different coloured cheeks and ears and whatever you want. So let's have a little look at how to put a cat together. So I've cut out all the pieces that I'm going to need for my cat head. Now, that is going to be the back, that is the front, so the accent colours are going to be the back colours repeated onto the front there. Really simple shapes. We have two small triangles there to go on the inside of the ears. We've got a little triangle reversed for the nose and two circles for his cheeks. And I'm going to stitch this probably in an orange colour so that we can actually see, because if I stitched in black, you're not going to be able to see it. So I'm going to get some orange thread out to try and match these little accent pieces here. And then we'll do the eyes and the mouth in that. So that's going to be a pearl thread, which I need to find out. First of all, what we have to do is to attach these pieces to the front. Now, you could stick them. You could use the fabric glue, or you could use the alien felt and foam glue to stick them on. I quite like to stitch them. I've got a thing, it just looks nice. You could do this in a black and it would just show up and it'll look stitched. You could do it in a matching thread if you wanted to. I think I'm going to do the black just because I have got some available to me to use. So I am going to grab some of that out and a needle, and I'm going to stitch these pieces on. Literally, it's just an over sew stitch, so I will show you that step next. So I'm going to do the stitching now. I've just got my black floss out because I'm going to do these in black. I could alternatively do them in the colour that matches, but I quite like my stitching to show out. So if I wanted it to blend in, I'd do like I did on this cat face here and used not the same but a similar colour, but I want it to stand out on this one. Now, when you're drawing out your pattern pieces on your pieces of felt, I tend to use this Madeira Magic pen for the lighter coloured felts because it disappears in air after time. And also if it gets warm it will disappear, but it disappears in the air. And this is a Stabilo oil pencil that I use for the black felt. It doesn't really come off. I think it's probably maybe removable with a little bit of water, but I've never really tried. I've just drawn it on the back of what I've needed, you know, made that the back of it so that you don't actually see that when you are finished with your piece. Okay, so cutting out a length of my embroidery floss, I am going to separate out 2 strands, one at a time, otherwise it gets tangled, or it can get tangled unless you're very careful. So it's best to do it one at a time, otherwise you end up with a tangled mess and yeah, getting a little bit frustrated or a lot frustrated. Right, I need to thread my needle. I'm just going to do that off camera so I can see what I'm doing, put it underneath my face. So put that bit through. I'm going to put a little knot in the end. This is how I do my knots. Just like that, wrap it around, pull it off. Okay, so I'm going to start with his nose because I think that's a good placement thing. You could actually use a little bit of glue if you wanted to place it, but I'm just going to go gung-ho as usual. Starting from the back so that my knot is inside, I am just doing a simple over sew. So let me take this up to you so you can see. I'm literally going a little bit in from the back and pulling it up to the front. So going in close to the orange felt and then coming out a little bit further in like that. Round the corner. It is literally just an over sew stitch. You don't need to do a blanket stitch on these little features. I think it can be kind of overkill and it can overpower, and you just want something that's just going to be a stitch to hold. And like I said, if you prefer, you could do a stitch that matches your felt. If you were a little bit unsure about your the neatness of your stitches, then using a matching thread means it's not so visible. But as I said, I've made hundreds. I must have made hundreds of these over the years. Some of them went to a little softies, they called it, fair in Chicago many moons ago. Yeah, shipped off quite a few of them and they sold quite well as far as I remember. Okay, so his nose is on. So what we're going to do now is cheeks. So you position your cheeks on. I've got an ear there, let me move that out of the way. These tend to notoriously go missing. They are one of those that just disappear. Now, at some point you could tie it off if you wanted to. I'm just going to carry the thread through and make sure I don't pull it too tightly. Just because it's all on the inside, you don't get to see it. So again, just a quick over sew around each of the cheeks, like so. Try and keep your stitch as neat as you can. I'm going quite quickly, but you just take your time. Take your time with this. It is a very quick little project to make, and you can make quite a few of these of an evening if you wanted to, or in the day if you wanted to do them for like fundraisers and things. So they have sold quite well, even as simplistic as they are. They're quite appealing when you finish them. Okay, so that's a one cheek on. I'm going to stitch the other one on, and also the eyes. Now the eyes, the ears, the inner ears, tiny little stitches is all you need for that. So and very few of them, probably 2 to 3 on each side and a couple on the bottom, and then you're done. So I'm going to finish this one off and then we'll see what we need to do next. Okay, so all of my little bits and pieces are attached now, and now I want to do the mouth in an orangey colour and the eyes as well. I'm trying to decide which one. That is probably closest. That's a little bit bright, so I'll go with this one. So I'm just going to cut myself off a piece of the pearl thread. This is pearl 8, pearl cotton 8, and I'm just going to thread that up like so. So the first thing we want to do is little French knot eyes. So we go in where we want our French knot to be. Let me take you in a little closer so you can see. I'm going to wrap my thread around. I'm going to go back in, holding on to that until we get a little eye there. I'm going to do the same with this one. If you wanted to, you could do brad eyes like I usually do, but I quite like the look of these little dotty eyes like that. You can make them a bit bigger if you wanted to. And then I go down to the point of the triangle there. And I come out underneath the cheek there and leave a loop to make it for his mouth. I hold on to that and go back in to the point of the triangle again. You can find it. And then I go back to the bottom of the cheek there and another little loop. It's a little bit tricky, it's a little bit fiddly, but you've got to kind of position it so that you can then go back in and you're just going to couch down. So you're keeping quite close to the thread itself, trying to keep the shape of it as well. And I'm just going to couch down in areas just to hold this down. You could equally split or back stitch this if you wanted to. Got that tangled up there. There we go. But I kind of find this is a nice neat way to get the smile. As I say, it's a little bit fiddly because you've got to make sure that your loops don't go out of shape. Pull that one in a little bit more. So just needs a little bit of extra time just to keep those loops in place with your finger. Take you back out again now. Don't need to be that close. And pull that through, just holding those down. Come in really close. When you're couching really close to the thread, I'm couching down so that it doesn't show so much. Try keep that all in shape like so. I might actually make his eyes a little bit bigger. I think I've used a thicker thread on some of the other ones, or maybe gone around a few more times. So what I'm going to do is just go back in with my thread, put a knot in it. I'm going to add to my eyes. Actually, I might just snip that one off there. Yeah, I think I want to make these a little bit bigger. So instead of going around twice, I'm going to go around 3 times and see if that makes a difference. There we go. Just means I've got to be very careful holding on to those loops like that. That's better. It's a little bit bigger. I'm going to see if I can leave this one in situ. And 1, 2, 3. Let's try it. Let's try it and see. Making sure I'm not losing my loops. Holding on to my other loop. Yeah, that's better. Yeah, it's a little bigger. So that's his face completed. I don't worry about the stitches at the back. I don't keep stopping and starting to re-knot my thread and everything, because that's all not going to be seen once you've done all the thing. So we place those two together, and what we're going to do now is we're going to stitch all the way around. Now we need to leave a gap because I'm going to put a little bit of stuffing in this to make it stand out. You could keep it flat and you could put that on a card or something if you wanted to. That's another little option for this, but because it's for my little house, I want it to be kind of like 3D-ish. So I could either use the black or I could use the orange to outline. On this one I've used the brown to outline. It looked really nice, but this is a thicker thread, so I think I'm going to stick with the black for this one, just because. So grab my 2 strands of thread, which has somehow got tangled in the way. So let's separate those out. I'm just going to have a battle with this off camera and I'll be back in a second. Okay, battled with thread. I'm going to start just at this side of his ear. I'm going to take it under the top part so that I can lose that knot there underneath into the felt. And then a neat overstitch all the way around. You could do a blanket with this if you wanted to. That is entirely up to you. But my traditional way of doing these from my earlier design is just to oversew. I understand that you can't actually see those stitches going down. They're not as neat on the back, I grant you on that one. So if you do want to do a matching to the back, then that's where it gives you a little benefit. But I'm not going to be worried because this one's going into my little housey, Halloween housey shelf scenario. So I'm not going to worry too much. So I'm going to go all around until I get to, so I've started just under the ear there. I'm going to leave a gap there, push some stuffing in there, and then finish it up. So I'll leave my thread attached when I get round to there, and just leave a little gap so that I can push in some stuffing. You don't need much for these at all. They take very little stuffing, so you can make lots. If you've got a bag of stuffing, you can make loads of these. And another thing I can show you is if you wanted to have these just as little brooches, then just stitch a rope brooch back on them, and you can wear them too. And that could equally still go in your little house, but you'd still have another benefit of being able to wear it when you wanted to. Anyway, so we know how to make all these little ones. Look at the size of this one against this one. Somebody said, these are really small. Is there any way you can make them bigger? Yes, there is. You can enlarge the pattern on your printer to whatever size you want it to. But I realise there's going to be kind of a limit to what you can print yours on. So what I have done is I have made this is a little prototype cat face cushion, and he's going to sit on my sofa. In fact, I'm going to make him some friends to sit with him. He's got a felt, wool felt front, so it's made from all wool fabrics and little bits of wool felt as well. So, and he's got his smile all stitched on there. So he's exactly the same as the smaller ones, except he's probably got a bigger nose, which you can make whatever size you wanted. If you don't like his big nose, you can make you can make it small. Sorry, you haven't got a big nose. You're fine. You're lovely. So I did that on the front, and on the back I got some furnishing velvet. Sorry, Claire, it's velvet. I know she doesn't like velvet. But he is going to go and sit in my new study that we're just redecorating at the moment. So I thought he would sit rather nicely in there at some point in time. So he's going to go in there. So he's made in exactly the same way as the smaller ones. So if you can make a small one, you can make a big one. I made this all by hand. I mean, if you wanted to, you could add on an extra bit so that you could do it on the sewing machine. So there's possibilities for you there. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to draft out a pattern for you, which will be in the Facebook group, along with the pattern for the kooky cat faces, the little ones as well. And they're all going to be available for you to download if you are part of my Facebook group. So if you would like to make your own kooky cushion or a little few of the tiny ones, well, it's tiny compared to these, or any other size in between. So you could make like a bag charm, just throwing it out there by either enlarging that one or making this one smaller. Anyway, the pattern is going to be in the Facebook group, and all you have to do is nip over there. The link is in the description box below. It doesn't cost you anything at all. It's all free. You just have to answer 4 questions so that I know that you're a real human being. And then you'll be able to download the patterns and have a go at making some for your very own. So yeah, I hope you have enjoyed this. And I hope you enjoy making all these little things that I've been showing you recently. We've had the tiny house, we had the tiny bird, and now I've got the tiny cat. And a really big cat that can be a cushion. So yeah, please let me know if you're enjoying this. Send me a message in the description, below the description box in the comments section, and let me know if you'd like to see any other things that I could make for you know, little gifts for people or nice things that you can put on your sofa. Anyway, that's enough from me for today. I'll be back here very soon with something else. Bye for now.